Hey everybody, sorry for the delay. I've had a hard time coming up with video ideas and school just started. But you've probably seen videos breaking down the fragrance rabbit hole already, the trajectory of knowledge from beginner to expert to burnout to peace. But I wanted to talk today about how maybe that's not much of a progression at all, at least not in awareness of why we smell things. I was scrolling on r slash fragrance the other day and I came across a post that really annoyed me. It was one of those rate my collection posts, except it was all Comme des Garçons Gosha Rubchinski fragrances instead of the usual clones and designers that you see on that sub. It wasn't ironic at all, it was 100% genuine. And this feeling of annoyance made me reflect on why I felt this way. I think there are a few reasons. I see a bit of myself in there. I also like to lurk in fragrance subs in order to assess or critique my own collection or taste. I think I also deep down wish others could read me through it, even though only I know my own motivations or story behind the purchase of them. Sharing is inherently about wanting to be seen and validated. But for me, if I were to post, I feel like my collection could be read as taste signaling or performance disguised as individuality. When I look at my collection, I do notice patterns. I don't really own any gourmand or loud scents. I sometimes ask myself, why did I not gravitate toward Leighton when I first started smelling scents? Why did I buy Dior Homme Original over the more popular Dior Homme 2020? I have to admit, it does seem like I'm trying to break free from the norm. But I also would say I fall into a boxable archetype. I think the answer here is really nuanced, and I feel like many people into fragrance could relate. Here's a little story. I liked Amorous Homme from MFK for a while and was almost ready to buy a full bottle. But then I noticed a review that said it smelled similar to Dior Sauvage, and my impression of Amorous Homme was completely ruined. They don't even really smell that similar. They just share a similar blue DNA, but the review influenced me so heavily that it tarnished the purity of my own opinion. I don't think Dior Sauvage even smells bad, at least from the few times I've smelled it. But once the internal "what does it say about me" voice starts creeping in, sincerity and self-consciousness start to get entangled. With many mainstream consumers of fragrance, I see people buy what's popular because it's visible and validated, like Sauvage or Baccarat Rouge is just seen over and over. Baccarat is the it girl and Sauvage is Jeremy Fragrance. I kind of see this happening with influencers and Altair clones or Louis Vuitton Imagination. This is when taste is shaped by cultural perception rather than exploration or curiosity. I think for most people into fragrance, we are more similar to the Sauvage and Baccarat Rouge default buyer crowd than we think. The person going to Lucky Scent every weekend and the one buying their first bottle at the airport duty free, they're not really opposites. There's intersection on this Venn diagram. The intersection is caused by the impact of social influences on our perception and eventual choice. We want to belong, stand apart, or be recognized. This is the reason for people's collections fitting into an archetype. This is the reason they fit into boxes like the Invictus, Giorgio Armani, Dolce & Gabbana crowd, or the Stronger With You, Jean-Paul Gaultier influencers, or people who wear Filippo Sorcinelli and Orto Parisi. And even blending them, maybe you own Herod and Blanche Bates and Cacti from Regime de Fleur. You're still part of this Venn diagram. You have good ball knowledge, but you still play the game. Authenticity and image smear in this area. There are people I really admire and who I do think are free in this fragrance space. Sebastian, the perfume guy, is like a walking archive. He has smelled pretty much everything and owns pretty much everything. Like he remembers how Kouros smelled in 1995. I think that's freedom from image's influence on authenticity. But do I even really want that? He knows so much that it seems like he's no longer chasing validation. His head is so full of references and experience that the social part doesn't seem to matter anymore. But I know I'll never be that knowledgeable in fragrance, and I don't think I want to be. I don't have the time or the brain space, and I'm not going to Givaudan to be a perfumer. I do like to hear the input of these people, whatever distillation of the giant pool of knowledge they have in their brains. These people have dedicated their whole lives to their sense of smell. But for me, while I do sit in limbo, the place on the diagram where enjoyment and ego meet, I'm content. Most people live here. It's not pure or authentic, but it is how it is. I think you should have nothing to prove. That's what my reminder to myself is when I start to demean myself for not knowing more, for not having smelled everything. It's just a hobby. It's not really my life. So, going back to this Reddit post that made me really annoyed, I would say to be annoyed at it is a contradiction. It's projection and it's elitism. It's me recognizing the same performative instinct in someone else. Their taste is just as valid as mine, and just as valid as the average fragrance influencer. And the threshold for saying, oh, I'm better than you, is maybe Sebastian, the perfume guy. Anyways, I recognize the motivation for buying fragrance is so multifaceted, and of course, we are all very different in motivation. I also buy fragrance for memory and imagery, but I just wanted to highlight this idea for those who are concerned with authenticity and consumption. Thank you for watching.